Welcome to Last Dawn Stories channel. In my past life, my cousin Kathy deceived me and sold our family's heirloom ancient jade for a high price, and also took the ring with a hidden space that belonged to our family. When the apocalypse came, she not only stood by indifferently but also brought people to seize our remaining supplies, leading to the tragic death of my entire family. My father and grandmother treated Kathy as their own daughter and granddaughter. They always set aside half of everything for her, even paying for her school tuition. Never thought I'd raise such an ungrateful wretch. I once urged Kathy to study, but she refused. She spends every day hanging out with a bunch of hoodlums, living with that deadbeat boyfriend of hers outside and never coming home. The moment she's short on money, she calls my dad and grandma asking for handouts. I recommended jobs to her, but she was too lazy to go, lazing around and eating all day. And I even caught her stealing money from my backpack a few times. I thought it was just childish ignorance and didn't take it seriously. Later, when she saw me get into my dream school through hard work, she became insanely jealous. Kathy had always been subtly or openly mocking me and causing trouble for me. I was so foolish, always making excuses for her because of family ties, thinking she was just young and didn't know better. After the apocalypse broke out, she sold the heirloom jade she swindled from my family for a high price and even discovered the secret of the jade ring. There's a system space hidden inside the ring. The supplies she hoarded in her space could last her 10 years, yet she refused to share even a bit when her beloved grandmother begged her. Only on my deathbed did I realize she secretly envied and resented me. She even used her best friend Judy to sabotage my relationship with my boyfriend Harry. It made me misunderstand that Harry had broken up with me. Little did I know that when the apocalypse came, Harry risked his life to protect me at the critical moment. Only in the end did I realize it was all a misunderstanding. I was deceived by them to such an extent that I lost my beloved. She not only resented and envied me but also harbored deep hatred toward Grandma and Dad. But Grandma and Dad always treated us equally. Sometimes Grandma and Dad felt sorry for her. Uncle had passed away early, and Aunt had abandoned Kathy and run off with someone else long ago, so they even gave her more care and attention than they gave me. Yet she saw all this as charity, as living under someone else's roof, as insincere hypocrisy. Indeed, in the eyes of those who understand neither gratitude nor family bonds, great kindness is repaid with great enmity. I don't know when it started, but she had become like this. Or perhaps she was always this way from the beginning, after the apocalypse arrived. Despite having a whole storage space full of supplies, she still brought her boyfriend Jack, her best friend Judy, some thugs, and even neighbors to raid our home for the little we had left. Dad fought desperately to leave a way out for Grandma and me, but in the end, Kathy turned around and stabbed him without hesitation. In the end, Grandma and I, overwhelmed by grief, left this world with nothing but despair and hatred. Opening my eyes, I realized I had been reborn. This was definitely not a dream. The chill coursing through my body and the traces of blood at the corner of my mouth confirmed that this was no dream. At this very moment, I heard a familiar voice. Kathy was at my house, still playing the role of the perfect daughter in front of my dad and grandma. I suppressed the surging hatred in my eyes and walked toward Kathy. I suppressed the surging hatred in my eyes, replaced it with a bright smile, and walked toward Kathy. Kathy, you're back. Yeah, sis, I just missed Grandma and came back to see her. I forced myself to bear Kathy's expression, suppressing my discomfort, squinted my eyes, and said with a smile, Kathy, I've made an appointment today. I need to take Grandma for a health checkup later, so I'll have to accompany you another day. After I finished speaking, I turned to face Grandma's puzzled expression. I gave Grandma a look, signaling her not to expose my lie. Kathy had no choice but to give up and left reluctantly. Watching Kathy's retreating figure, I sneered, still coming to visit Grandma, under the guise of visiting. The real intention was to take the antique jade and ring from Grandma. After cheerfully seeing Kathy off, I closed the door and called Grandma and Dad into the room. Winnie, what's wrong with you today? Why did you suddenly tell Kathy you'd take me for a checkup? Didn't I just have one a few days ago? Grandma asked in confusion. My eyes reddened, and the first thing I did after being reborn was to rush forward and tightly hug my grandmother and father. Both my grandmother and father were bewildered. While holding me, my grandmother gently stroked my head. Sweetheart, what's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? I let go of my grandmother and father, and after calming my emotions, I told them about the events of my previous life. Dad and Grandma both looked unconvinced. Dad was also worried if I was under too much work pressure. There's no way to be reborn in this life. if I don't tell Dad and Grandma, relying on my own strength alone won't be enough. I stared seriously into Dad and Grandma's eyes. You must believe me. Did Kathy just come to ask for our family's ancient jade and ring? Grandma and Dad nodded, but they weren't surprised that I knew about Kathy's conversation with them. They simply assumed I had woken up and overheard their talk. I thought for a moment, rubbing my head as I recalled some events from this exact moment in my past life. Then I told Dad, "Dad, it's 1 o'clock now. At 1:13 this afternoon, Aunt Wang's family will get into a car accident while traveling. If you don't believe me, you can check your social media feed at that time." Dad was half convinced and waited until 1:13, when he opened his social media feed. He indeed saw a post from his colleague, Sister Wang. "Such bad luck on our family trip. 4 of us went out, and 2 ended up with broken bones. At least the whole family is still alive. A silver lining in this misfortune." Below the post was a photo of a car accident. Dad looked at me in shock. I glanced at the time on my watch, then turned to Grandma. "Grandma, in 1 minute, you'll receive a call. Your distant cousin has been hospitalized for a long time due to a chronic illness, and the hospital couldn't save her. Soon. Uncle will call to deliver the sad news. Soon." Grandma's old-fashioned phone rang. To verify my claim, she quickly answered the call. Moments later, Grandma turned pale and nodded at Dad, then shakily walked toward me. Both Grandma and Dad immediately looked very upset. Dad was the first to speak. "Did Kathy really treat you and Grandma that way?" Grandma's heart clearly sank as well. Dad and Grandma had been so good to Kathy, and hearing how Kathy had treated them in her past life, it would be a lie to say they weren't upset. "Sweetheart, how long until the apocalypse begins?" "About 1 more month, Dad. Grandma, we need to hurry up and make plans in advance." Dad and Grandma exchanged glances, then got up and went to their respective rooms. Then Dad and Grandma pulled out a pile of things: property deeds, bank books, gold jewelry, cash, and more. My gaze fell on the antique jade and ring that Grandma had brought out. In the previous life, Dad and Grandma didn't know the value of this ancient jade and the jade ring. I remember in the previous life, this ancient jade was favored by a collector and sold for a high price of 500 million. Kathy used the money to hoard a lot of things, all stored inside the ring space. This time, I won't let Kathy get her hands on these things again. A thought flashed through my mind. "Grandma, I'll take this ancient jade and the ring for now. You go rent a temporary warehouse, then use the cash at home to buy more supplies and store them in the warehouse. Just tell others that you're purchasing charitable materials for our company to donate to mountainous areas." "Dad, our current house isn't suitable. The safety factor is too low, with neighbors all around, right across from us. It's hard to predict people's behavior in the apocalypse. Plus, it wouldn't be good if Kathy comes looking for us with others later. First, put the house on the market. You can offer a discount. We need to sell it as soon as possible, then buy a more remote and secure property." "All right, Winnie, don't worry. Leave it to Dad and Grandma." Our whole family sprang into action. Grandma rented a warehouse and started stocking up on supplies, while Dad focused on securing a safe property. As for me, I took the ancient jade and immediately contacted that collector Simon from my previous life. Simon, the helmsman of Y Group, had vast interests spanning multiple fields, including antique auctions, and was known as the master of the treasure pavilion. However, Simon isn't someone you can just meet anytime. I knew about today's auction where Simon would be present, thanks to memories from my past life. The event was hosted by the father of a wealthy second-generation classmate of mine. I pulled strings and spent a fortune just to get into the venue, all for a chance to get close to Simon. I took out the ancient jade in advance and wore it around my neck, casually revealing it while pouring tea. Simon was no ordinary person. His gaze was razor-sharp. "Little girl, tell me, how did you sneak in here?" I looked up and met Simon's eyes, suddenly shuddering with a chill. The man before me, though his hair was streaked with silver, stood tall and straight in his tailored suit. The traces of time on his face did nothing to diminish his imposing presence. I knew all too well that when facing a big shot, it's best not to play games. Sincerity is what matters most. "Sir, my name is Winnie. I have no ulterior motives. I just want to sell a family heirloom jade. With someone of your stature, I had to find a way to get in. How else could I have hoped to meet you?" Simon's hand clutching the prayer beads suddenly tightened, the air thick with the scent of ambergris. The abrupt silence made my heart pound. After a long pause, Simon finally spoke. "Take it off and let me have a look." I quickly removed the ancient jade pendant from my neck and handed it over. Simon examined the jade carefully, a hint of delight flickering between his brows. The ancient jade in his hands emitted a soft glow under the light, like a pool of thousand-year-old snowmelt. The ancient jade feels warm to the touch, which is truly magical. And its texture is as delicate as a beauty's skin. I know Simon must recognize its value. He will surely buy it, because in the previous life, he was the one who purchased this jade. Although this jade pendant does not come with a system space, it has a unique and wondrous feature. Wearing this jade pendant for a long time can continuously nourish the body and dispel all ailments. If I weren't short on money, I would actually be reluctant to sell this jade pendant. The apocalypse is coming soon. Without enough funds to stock up on supplies, holding on to this jade pendant would be useless in the apocalypse. How much do you want? Simon's deep and authoritative voice rang out. In my previous life, this jade pendant was auctioned for a staggering 500 million. This Simon is a big shot. He might be able to help in the post-apocalyptic world later. Selling it to him at a lower price wouldn't hurt. It's worth making a friend. With that in mind, I spoke up. Old sir, I believe you're a man of discerning taste. This jade is indeed a treasure. Someone once offered me 500 million for it, and I refused. May I ask what your sincere offer is? 600 million. Simon's voice rang out. I was overjoyed. I had thought they would try to haggle, but to my surprise, they agreed so readily and even added another 100 million. Impressive, truly worthy of a big shot. Old man, consider the 400 million as a gesture of friendship, I said softly. Simon was clearly encountering for the first time a buyer who voluntarily lowered the price and offered a discount, and a hefty one at that, a full 200 million, and was visibly taken aback. He started sizing me up again, feeling uncomfortable under his gaze. I had to interrupt, but I need to receive the payment today. All right. Simon then signaled to his subordinate beside him to handle it, seeing a young girl like me being so sincere and straightforward. Simon's expression visibly softened at this point. Young lady, if you have any good items in the future, you can come directly to me. With that, Simon took out a badge and handed it to me. If you ever need anything in the future, bring this to me. You'll be able to see me directly, and no one will stop you. I appreciated Simon's kindness and quickly tucked the badge into my pocket. For someone of Simon's wealth, survival supplies during the apocalypse shouldn't be an issue. The only thing worth noting is that the old man is getting on in years, and surviving the apocalypse would require an exceptionally strong physique. Thank you, old man. Times may get rough ahead, so please keep this jade pendant with you at all times. It will protect your health. I didn't dare say too much. This was all I could do. A text message dinged on the phone. Your bank card ending in 87XX received a transfer of 400 million. My heart raced and hands trembled. A working stiff like me had never seen so many zeros before. Suppressing my inner excitement, I bid farewell to Simon and hurried to an antique shop. I knew Kathy would come again after I used the excuse last time that Grandma needed a hospital checkup to send her away, to avoid future trouble. I had already taken the ancient jade and ring to the renowned copy shop for replication before going to Simon's place. The copy shop was hidden in an alley of the old town. Its entrance marked by a golden plaque, hinting at its extraordinary nature. Here lie many unique treasures, as well as highly skilled craftsmen. The replicas are sometimes so perfect that even experts can't tell them apart at a glance. Boss, is my item ready? Recognizing me, the shopkeeper behind the counter quickly ushered me into the inner room. The counter owner must have a sharp eye, having surely recognized the antique jade's value and uniqueness at first glance that day. Treating me with great courtesy, the owner said very respectfully, "Your items are ready." With that, the owner took out 2 exquisitely crafted boxes, opening them to reveal the replicated antique jade and jade ring inside. This antique shop truly has real skill. If it weren't for the genuine jade ring on my finger and the fact that the antique jade had already been sold to Simon, I might have truly believed the items in the boxes were real. On my way home, I took out a portion of the money from selling the ancient jade and put it into a card, thinking of giving it to Grandma so she wouldn't have to worry about running short when shopping. Then I also transferred a portion to Dad. When he received such a large sum, he was extremely worried, thinking I had obtained it through some shady means, and frantically called me non-stop. It wasn't until I returned and explained about selling the ancient jade that they finally felt relieved. However, both Dad and Grandma were utterly shocked, never expecting the ancient jade could actually fetch such a high price as I had told them. In her previous life, Kathy sold the ancient jade for so much money, yet she didn't even give her father and grandmother a single box of instant noodles. Truly heartbreaking. Oh, by the way, dear grandson, Kathy said she's coming to visit tomorrow. She's still after the ancient jade and the ring, isn't she, Grandma? Take this. These are replicas of the ancient jade and ring that I had someone make. Even though Grandma often looked at genuine ancient jade and rings, she was still stunned by the craftsmanship of this replica. If I hadn't told her, she wouldn't have known it was a fake. Grandma, tomorrow Kathy will come pretending to visit you, but she's actually after these things. Don't give them to her too easily tomorrow, or she'll definitely get suspicious given her personality. Act hesitant, as if you're afraid we'll blame you, and only give them to her after she asks several times. Grandma nodded. The next day, Kathy indeed came. As soon as she entered, she first asked Grandma if we were home. Upon hearing that we weren't home, the smile on her lips couldn't be hidden. Grandma, how are you feeling? I'm doing well, Kathy. By the way, Grandma, where are that antique jade and ring you had last time? Are they still with you? Grandma hadn't expected Kathy to ask about them so directly and eagerly. Perhaps deep down, Grandma still didn't want to believe that her beloved granddaughter Kathy could really be like that. Kathy, why are you suddenly asking about this? Grandma handed the items to Kathy and then sat down opposite her. I'm just so curious. Grandma, could you show it to me again? Grandma pretended to relent to Kathy's pleading, went into the bedroom, opened a drawer inside a cabinet, and took out an exquisite box. She placed the box in front of Kathy, whose eyes sparkled at the sight of the ancient jade. At that moment, she had no idea that what she was looking at was a replica, let alone that the ring would be far more valuable than the jade in the post-apocalyptic world. In her previous life, no one knew how she had discovered the ring's hidden space. Kathy is uneducated and often hangs out with a bunch of ruffians. In her previous life, around this time, she had planned to deceive her grandmother into giving up this antique jade to sell for money. Unexpectedly, someone who recognized its value discovered it, and through some maneuvering at an auction, it ended up fetching an astronomical price. Grandma, could you give me this jade and the ring? I like them so much. Grandma looked troubled. Kathy, these are our family heirlooms. It's not right to give them all to you. Grandma originally thought that when you and Winnie get married, you could each draw lots for one. If you want to take them all now, it puts Grandma in a difficult position. Kathy's expression instantly turned cold, losing her usual obedient demeanor. Grandma had planned to pretend to hesitate a few times before giving in, but she didn't expect Kathy to change so drastically after just one rejection. Kathy's face fell, and she stormed out, slamming the door while Grandma was cooking. Old woman, if you won't give it to me, I'll take it myself. What's this about one each? I won't be partial, Kathy said, triumphantly laughing as she held the box in her hands. When Grandma finished cooking and called Kathy for dinner, not only was there no sign of her, but she also discovered her bedroom had been ransacked. The box containing the antique-style jade and ring was gone without a trace. Grandma untied her apron and sat gloomily on the sofa. That child Kathy has really changed. Sigh. Grandma stared blankly at the calendar on the wall when suddenly the doorbell rang. Ding dong, ding dong. She opened the door and to her surprise, it was. Grandma opened the door. Grandma, it's Harry. Is Winnie home? Recognizing Harry, Grandma warmly invited him in. Winnie mentioned that in their past life, this young man risked his life to protect her without hesitation. Naturally, Grandma took an immediate liking to Harry. Grandma began to scrutinize Harry carefully. Harry's skin wasn't very fair, likely tan from frequently helping his parents with farm work. His clothes were old but exceptionally clean and neat, tall in stature, but seemingly malnourished, appearing quite thin, yet the bone structure is excellent, with well-proportioned and handsome facial features. Grandma looked at him and suddenly smiled. No wonder Winnie likes this child. Good looks and good character. Harry felt uncomfortable under Grandma's gaze, hearing her inexplicable laughter. He wondered if something was wrong with her. Such a fine young man. We can't let him and Winnie part ways over misunderstandings like in their past life. I must do my best to bring them together. With this thought, Grandma smiled warmly and said to Harry, Winnie won't be back until later. Why don't you stay and have dinner with me? You can wait for her here. Harry nodded and sat down to join Grandma for the meal, while gathering supplies. I accidentally cut my finger on a protruding wire from a tin can. Blood dripped from my finger onto the ring. Suddenly, the ring emitted a golden light. Host activates the system. Would you like to bind with the system? I suppressed my shock. Was this a system? Was it the same system Kathy obtained in her previous life? So this was how it worked. Yes, the host chooses to bind with the system. Reward the host with a grand space package. I began trying to open the system with my consciousness. My heart pounded wildly. given a second chance at life, and with this system, I can definitely protect my family and loved ones. I took out 100 million from the money earned by selling the ancient jade to purchase supplies and donate them to mountainous regions. Firstly, it can cover up the matter of large quantities of supplies under the guise of donations. Secondly, the mountainous areas are remote, and after a series of apocalyptic disasters, supplies there are scarce, making it extremely difficult. In the apocalypse, people's hearts are hard to predict, so I dare not say too much, having witnessed too many things in my previous life. This time I just want to quietly do my part and protect my family. I'm particularly happy because, with just 10 days left until the apocalypse arrives, I've already bound the space in advance, which means I can start stockpiling supplies as early as possible. With a large amount of funds on hand and the goods my grandmother previously stored in the warehouse, I opened the system and collected all the supplies in the warehouse: mineral water, instant noodles, rice, flour, cornmeal, canned fruit, protein powder, compressed biscuits, snacks, dried noodles, nuts, and more, into the system. I feel the supplies are far from enough. In my previous life, I only knew the apocalypse lasted a long time, followed by extreme cold, zombies, and more. I don't know how long the apocalypse will last. Since I have sufficient funds and system storage space, I absolutely don't want to experience the despair and hunger of my previous life again in this lifetime. Under the pretense of company procurement for donating supplies to mountainous areas, I went to supermarkets and market warehouses in various locations to sweep up goods. I rented 60 trucks, staggering their schedules to transport the goods, and put up banners on the trucks indicating donations for mountainous areas. All the bosses thought a god of wealth had arrived, harboring no suspicion, and desperately tried to sell me their inventory clearance. 30 trucks were for transporting my donations to mountainous areas, which I considered my contribution to the end times, hoping to help those in need. The other 30 trucks carried the supplies I purchased, having previously rented many warehouses under the guise of donation storage. After the trucks entered the warehouses, I dismissed the drivers, tell them the next driver will handle the delivery, but in reality, open the system to absorb large quantities of supplies into the space. System storage task completed. Reward: 1 static space within the system. I was still worried, afraid some food might expire, but never expected the system would reward a static space at this moment. This way, I no longer have to worry about food expiring. I went to various markets and started bulk shopping, placing all kinds of fish, vegetables, fresh fruits, and poultry into the static space. 100 tons of rice, 10 tons of dried noodles, 10 tons of flour, 100 boxes of shampoo and shower gel, 1,000 boxes of toilet paper, 500 boxes of sanitary pads, 2,000 boxes of snacks. It suddenly occurred to me that I hadn't bought any medicine yet. In the apocalypse, having no medicine is not an option, so I contacted a pharmaceutical company. I purchased millions worth of medications: cold medicine, anti-inflammatory drugs, painkillers, disinfectant, alcohol, as well as essential medications for high blood pressure and heart disease that Grandma and Dad need regularly. I even bought some basic surgical equipment and ventilators. Though I don't understand these devices, Harry knows medicine, so he should be able to use them. Thinking of Harry makes my heart ache, but thankfully, there's still time to act. But I don't have time to think about so much now. I need to hurry and stock up on supplies first. I'll go find Harry after I get back. Dad sent me the address, telling me the house has been sold, and he's already found the address for the new house. It's a 3-story duplex in a high-rise building with 1 elevator per household. Dad knew the first disaster to come would be heavy rain, so he considered getting a house on a higher floor. Then Dad also bought a villa in a remote area, considering that after the storm, there would be extreme cold and zombies. In case high-rise buildings weren't safe, we would still have a fallback option. Fortunately, I told my family, many hands make light work. Dad was really impressive, solving so many problems at once. I continued to stock up on supplies, buying many hand warmers, cold-resistant clothing, cotton-padded jackets, and cotton shoes. When the apocalypse comes, energy will be a major issue. I've purchased many power banks, storage batteries, and treadmill-style generators. At night, I transport them into my duplex apartment in the high-rise and my suburban villa through space. During the apocalypse, having too many solar power generators would definitely expose my home. Running is the best option. Not only can it be done indoors, but it also helps you stay fit. This way, you'll have the strength to resist when encountering bad people or zombies. I also rented a tanker truck to transport gasoline and diesel into the warehouse in batches, storing everything in the system when no one was around. Suddenly, it occurred to me that I had stockpiled so many supplies but hadn't stocked up on any self-defense weapons. That just wouldn't do. I walked into the security supplies store to look around. I bought flashlights, binoculars, several drones, surveillance equipment, stun guns, pepper spray, slingshots, steel pipes, and more. Then I went to the market. I purchased baseball bats, kitchen knives, machetes, extended sickles, and some other bladed tools, bought some small hoes as well, sucked all these items into the system to retrieve some later for home defense. Suddenly, the system's progress bar filled up, displaying a message: reward granted, 1 plot of black soil in space. The black soil can be used for planting, with plants growing 100 times faster inside the space than outside. Hearing the voice of the system in my mind, I was thrilled. I could finally have my own little farm. With that thought, I hurried to various seed stores. I bought out all the seeds from the nearby shops in one go. I couldn't wait to start my space farm, and the shop owners were delighted to have such a big customer sweeping their stock. Suddenly, the system emitted a prompt sound: "Host, would you like to gather spiritual energy to upgrade the system?" I was completely baffled. What is gathering spiritual energy? Gather spiritual energy? I tentatively clicked yes. Then the system guided me to a place with clear waters and lush mountains. Suddenly, a glowing circle appeared as the system opened, and I faintly saw streams of golden light entering it. Then the progress bar quickly filled up. "Congratulations, host, the first level system upgrade is complete. The system rewards you with a house inside the system. You may enter to reside. Would you like to click to enter?" After I clicked, suddenly, I found myself in a well-proportioned one-bedroom apartment with a living room, kitchen, and bathroom. The space was bright, though devoid of furniture and appliances. With this in mind, I headed to various appliance stores: washing machine, refrigerator, microwave, dishwasher, robot vacuum, oven, rice cooker, water heater, computer, range hood, induction cooker, stove, sofa, king-sized bed. I arranged for everything to be delivered. After placing all these purchased items into the system house, a prompt sounded: "Please select a decoration style: modern minimalist style, industrial style, Nordic style, new Chinese style, French style." I chose the modern minimalist style. I like my home to be clean and refreshing, and I dislike anything overly complicated. The clean and refreshing style, paired with the cozy furniture and some cute plush toys I bought, surprisingly gave me an extraordinary sense of comfort. Does the host choose to continue upgrading the system? If we keep taking the system to places with beautiful mountains and clear waters, will it continue to upgrade? Thinking of this, I quickly drove to the largest undeveloped outskirts. Here, the mountains are lush and layered, and the streams flow with crystal clear water. The system began operating automatically this time, with the progress bar moving from 10% to 100%, and then another progress bar appeared, initiating an automatic upgrade. Truly, the mountains and waters conceal a spiritual charm. Immediately, I sensed the room within the system starting to transform, and in no time, it turned into a minimalist-style villa, with the surroundings of the villa mirroring the beauty of this place. Could it be that the system can replicate these beautiful scenes? It seems the system has been nourished by the spiritual energy between heaven and earth, thus beginning to upgrade rapidly. Before long, the system emitted golden, starlight-like particles that showered over these plant spirits. Unexpectedly, the plant spirits seemed to flourish even more. It appears they mutually benefited each other, a truly advantageous outcome. After waiting for the system upgrade to complete, when I re-entered the space, I was astonished. This was precisely the utopia I had always dreamed of. From a distance, this villa is nestled between mountains and waters, backed by green bamboo, with peach blossoms and other fruit trees surprisingly growing in the courtyard. In the middle of the yard in front of the house, there is even a small babbling brook. Many wild little fish swim to and fro, their carefree movements perfectly embodying the poetic line: "As if floating in air with nothing to rely on." I gazed at this little courtyard in a daze for quite some time. How beautiful it is! A perfectly safe haven away from the world. The system played another prompt: "Host, would you like to renovate the exterior of the house?" I finally snapped out of my daze. Though the scenery was beautiful and the courtyard charming, the modern-style house didn't quite match the surroundings. I clicked on New Chinese Style, and in an instant, the exterior of the house transformed from modern to ancient, while the interior decor remained contemporary. I'm so delighted. This will make living here much more convenient. Finally finished a busy stretch, I'm exhausted. I wonder how Grandma is managing with Kathy. I arrived home, pushed open the door, and what greeted my eyes was the face I'd been dreaming of day and night, Harry. Harry was visibly excited to see me at the door. Winnie, let me explain, what happened last time was all a misunderstanding. Before Harry could finish his sentence, I tightly embraced him. Harry clearly didn't expect me to act this way and thought someone had bullied me, frantically wiping away my tears, while holding me. Harry gently patted my head and asked, Winnie, what's wrong? Did someone bully you? With reddened eyes, I said, no, it's just so good to see you again, let me hold you for a while. Grandma noticed I was back too and, with a knowing smile, left us some private space before retreating to her own room. In my past life, Kathy was jealous that not only did I land a decent job after graduate school, but I also had a boyfriend who was completely devoted to me. She teamed up with her best friend Judy to drive a wedge between my boyfriend and me. Judy is a total green tea bitch. Not only did she help Kathy, but she also had her eyes on Harry herself, eager to kick me out so she could become his girlfriend. In her previous life, Judy not only openly pursued Harry but also frequently gave him various gifts and breakfast, always clinging to him, seeing Harry always keeping his distance. She even created the illusion of ambiguity between them. Not only did he deliberately write love letters and deliver breakfast in a high-profile manner when many colleagues were around, but he also took advantage of his work privileges to create opportunities for alone time, snapping photos from various angles. Kathy took the opportunity to send these photos to me, saying, Sis, look, Harry is really a scumbag. I used to trust Harry, but after seeing the photos, I broke up with him in a fit of anger. I blocked and deleted all of Harry's contact information, not giving him the slightest chance to explain. If I hadn't overheard Kathy Judy's boastful conversation before my death in my previous life, I'm afraid even in this reincarnated life, I would have continued to misunderstand Harry. Looking at Harry's gaunt face, my heart ached with pain. In his previous life, his parents were extremely biased, always giving the best things to his two younger brothers first. This was the norm in ordinary times, let alone when the apocalypse arrived. In his previous life, after the apocalypse arrived, with limited supplies, his parents became even more extreme, even giving his food to his younger brothers. Harry's father and mother tacitly agree to sacrifice Harry when food is scarce at the end of the world. Later, when he knew I was in danger, he came to rescue me without hesitation. When I saw him, I felt both anger and joy, but more than anything, shock. Because he was visibly emaciated from hunger, our whole family had lost weight due to the prolonged shortage of supplies, but Harry was clearly far too thin. Only now did I realize, I had always thought it was his constitution that kept him from gaining weight, but in truth, his parents had been mistreating him all along. Even before the apocalypse, he ate very little, as his entire salary from work was taken by his parents, with only a few hundred yuan to his name. Having to cover both living expenses and food, it's no wonder he was so thin. He never told me, perhaps out of shame. I remember being struck on the head by Kathy and the thugs, leaving me dazed and utterly drained of strength. In the critical moment, Harry arrived and raised his hand to block a knife strike from the thug for me. Harry was fighting with the thugs, but he was clearly running out of strength. To protect me, it seemed like his adrenaline surged, and he managed to turn the tables on the thugs, but he also collapsed from excessive blood loss. With the last bit of consciousness I had, I crawled to his side, tears streaming down my face as I held him. I heard him intermittently explaining the misunderstanding between us. His last words, Winnie, thank you for coming into my life and giving me warmth. I will always love you. Before he could finish speaking, Harry's hand, which had been caressing my cheek, fell limp. I looked at Harry's pale face and his lifeless hand, tears streaming down like broken beads from a string. It turned out that Kathy and Judy had revealed to the residence group that our family still had some food left. Judy proudly sent a message to Harry, Harry, take a look. What do you think will happen to the woman you love most in this apocalyptic world, Harry? Upon hearing the news, rushed to save me. Overwhelming hatred and the pain of losing my loved ones instantly flooded my mind. I spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed, unconscious. Fortunately, fate gave me a second chance. This time, I will protect my family and ensure my enemies meet their deserved fate. Calming my emotions, I met Harry's gaze and said, Harry, let's get married. My voice was soft, yet it struck Harry's heart like a heavy note. Harry was visibly flustered. His eyes brimmed with complex emotions, joy, fear, insecurity, clearly happy, yet Harry rejected me, Harry refused me. Winnie, can you wait for me for 2 years? I understand Harry's concerns and his embarrassment. He worries about his family, about not being able to afford the bride price, about not being able to provide me with a good life. But he had no choice in being born into such a family. In his previous life, he already proved his sincerity with his life, in this life. What I need to do is protect him. Don't let him be hurt by those biased parents again. We must take him away before the apocalypse arrives. Harry, I understand everything you're thinking. I don't want anything else. I just want you. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning. Seeing the determination in my eyes, Harry's heartbeat quickened. He softly replied, then turned and left. After I told Grandma and Dad about this, far from scolding me for being so sudden, they were very happy and supportive. Perhaps the events of the previous life had already made Dad and Grandma regard Harry as family. The next day, we got our marriage certificate. Normally, I love wearing loose, casual clothes, going barefaced, hiding my graceful figure beneath baggy outfits. Today is a special day. I chose a figure-hugging mermaid dress, let down my pinned-up long hair, applied delicate makeup, and arrived early to wait outside the Civil Affairs Bureau. From a distance, I spotted Harry. He usually preferred wearing black clothes faded from washing, paired with worn-out canvas shoes. Today, he had specially put on a white shirt, subtly revealing his physique. The breeze seemed to favor him too, tousling his hair. His sharp brow bones looked as if chiseled by a knife, complemented by a tall nose bridge and deep-set eyes. I waved at him, and Harry looked at me, his hands clutching the bouquet suddenly tightening, his Adam's apple bobbing uncontrollably twice. Meeting my gaze, Harry flusteredly lowered his head to avoid eye contact. Harry and I have always had a platonic relationship, never crossing any boundaries since we started dating. Seeing Harry's blushing expression, I also felt a bit embarrassed. After all, getting the marriage certificate makes it official, and from now on, the two of us will inevitably have to. At this thought, I instantly blushed as well. After getting the certificate and returning home, I officially brought Harry home. And Harry officially became a member of our family. Dad and Grandma prepared a big feast to welcome us. Harry, Dad, Grandma, Dad and Grandma couldn't stop smiling, quickly stuffing 2 big red envelopes for me and Harry. After dinner, Dad and Grandma pushed me and Harry into the room. Unexpectedly, they had already prepared our wedding chamber for us. Once inside the room, Harry and I exchanged an awkward smile. Perhaps it was because we had been drinking. Both Harry and I felt a bit warm. I took off my shawl, leaving only a tight-fitting mermaid dress that perfectly accentuated my curves. Harry slowly moved closer to me, exhausted. Harry whispered as he drew near. I could sense that Harry was also a bit nervous, so I suggested we have some red wine to celebrate getting our marriage certificate today. Seizing the moment, I also told Harry about my past life and the apocalypse. He wasn't as shocked as I had imagined. Winnie, actually, your behavior last time made me realize you might have gone through something. I believe you. Even if the apocalypse comes again, I will definitely protect you, even if it means sacrificing my life once more. Don't be afraid, Winnie. I looked at Harry's serious expression and couldn't help but chuckle softly. Silly, I won't let the tragedy of our past life repeat itself this time. With that, I reached out, wrapped my arms around Harry's neck, and kissed him, his entire body tensed up, radiating heat. That night, the sheer curtains trembled lightly in the night breeze, while raindrops pounded heavily against the banana leaves. The morning breeze gently woke me. I opened my eyes in Harry's arms, carefully observing him and the disheveled shirt on the floor. Who would have thought this guy, who looks so lean, is actually quite well built underneath? At this thought, a faint blush involuntarily spread across my face. The stockpile was almost ready, and the apocalypse was just 2 days away. I decided to take the whole family out for a good time. Who knows how long we'd be trapped once the apocalypse arrives? Our whole family sat together and made a list. The list included places we wanted to visit and foods we wanted to try. I asked Harry to quit his job. Our family decided to fully enjoy the last remaining good times before the apocalypse. We dined at the finest restaurant in City A and also visited the food street near the school, savoring the joy brought by delicious food, visited the aquarium and museum that my family had always wanted to see, also attended a concert and went to the cinema. Finally, under the pretext of fearing a resurgence of the pandemic, I anonymously reminded everyone to stock up on supplies, though it's unknown how they would actually respond. Looking at the time on my watch, I knew the apocalypse was coming, starting with torrential rain. At first, everyone thought it was just an ordinary rainstorm. Even if someone on social media reminded people to stock up on supplies, only a few took action, while many others didn't pay much attention, at most complaining about the inconvenience of travel. As the rainstorm grew heavier, people began to realize something was wrong and started going to supermarkets to buy supplies. At first, order could still be maintained, but as the rainstorm caused landslides in many areas and disrupted various modes of transportation, the goods on supermarket shelves became noticeably scarcer. There were even instances of people fighting over supplies during purchases. The continuous heavy rain these days feels like a hole has been torn in the sky, pouring endlessly until the floodwater submerged the underground garage. In the neighborhood WeChat group, damn, how much longer is this cursed rain going to last? Room 101, no idea, but it doesn't look like it'll stop anytime soon. My car in the garage is already flooded. Room 302, yes, what should we do? Oh heavens, please don't let it rain anymore. We're on the lower floors. If the water rises, what will we do? Room 109. The group chat also had people offering supplies and requesting to purchase items, willing to pay a high price for a box of instant noodles. Room 603, then, a young girl from room 501 posted this message in the group: I still have some food left, if anyone needs it, feel free to come and take some. Subsequently, the property management began counting the number of people in the group chat. I signaled my father to stay silent, as keeping a low profile was the best protection at the moment. Our home is a 3-story penthouse duplex, with one elevator serving each household. As long as we lock the fire escape door leading to our top floor, it should deter some of those with ill intentions. Initially, the property management posted in the group, residents, please remain calm, the lower floors of the complex are already flooded, please move to higher floors immediately. Some residents from higher floors began offering, we have spare rooms and can accommodate 3 people. My place is fine too. Some doors remained tightly shut, refusing to open no matter how the lower floor residents in the hallway pleaded or cursed. The rain continued to fall outside. Harry said, Winnie, come and eat now. I looked up and saw Harry wearing an apron, carrying plates of food. Dad and Grandma were also sitting at the table, creating such a warm and happy atmosphere. I couldn't wait to join them at the dining table, picking up my chopsticks to taste the dishes. This is so delicious. How come I never knew you had such skills? It's so appetizing. I was like a little greedy cat. Dad and Grandma also couldn't stop praising the food. Harry's cooking is so delicious that each of us ate much more than usual. Fortunately, with enough space and ample supplies this time, we don't have to worry about starving like in the previous life, nor about having our food taken away. After dinner, Dad, as usual, observed the situation outside by the window. Our home has one-way glass, so people outside can't see inside, while we can clearly observe the situation in the building across from us. Winnie, Harry, come quick, Dad said urgently. Harry, Grandma, and I picked up the binoculars and saw several people across the way breaking into Unit 501 and stealing that little girl's supplies. Meanwhile, in the home of the high-floor resident who had previously taken in lower-floor neighbors, it seemed 2 groups had gotten into a fight. Apparently, 2 tall men from the lower floors who had been taken in were unhappy that the original high-floor resident, a couple and their daughter, occupied 2 rooms while they had to share one. They ended up in a scuffle with the couple. A man's heart is never satisfied, like a snake trying to swallow an elephant, so in these end times, I don't gamble on human nature. Dad and Grandma sighed quietly, partly out of concern for them, and partly relieved that they had listened to me and remained silent in the group chat. Soon, Grandma's phone rang. She answered, and to her surprise, it was Kathy's voice on the other end. You old hag, how dare you trick me with fake jade pendants and rings? Before Grandma could respond, I snatched the phone from her. I snatched the phone and said, Kathy, watch your mouth. Fine, fine, Winnie, just you wait, don't think I can't find you. I hung up the phone, but a sense of unease lingered in my heart. Why was Kathy so confident she could definitely find us? Despite the prolonged heavy rain, she still sounded full of energy, nothing like someone short on supplies. Could she have known the apocalypse was coming and prepared in advance? How could she have known the apocalypse was coming? Could it be that she was also reborn? Then everything makes sense. No wonder she was so eager to steal the jade pendant and the ring. We sold our old house and moved to this one. Kathy definitely doesn't know the address of our new home, but a sense of unease still lingers in my heart. I looked at the water level outside, 10 stories high, thinking Kathy probably couldn't make it. Maybe I was overthinking it. In the following days, I stayed at home, eating the meals Harry cooked and watching the books and TV shows stockpiled before the apocalypse. Perhaps because Harry's cooking was too delicious, my dad, Grandma, Harry himself, and I all visibly gained weight compared to before the apocalypse. Every day, aside from cooking, Harry worked out, and beneath his clothes, the outline of 8-pack abs could faintly be seen. We lived relatively peaceful days in the building, which was much better compared to the outside world. During that time, some people tried to come up to our floor to scavenge for supplies, but upon seeing the locked fire door covered in cobwebs, our complete silence in the residence group chat, and the one-way glass my father had installed during the renovation, along with the expensive soundproofing throughout the apartment, we only turned on small lights at night after ensuring all blackout curtains were tightly drawn. From the outside, this house appeared to have been uninhabited for a long time, so everyone assumed it was empty and devoid of supplies. In my free time, I would enter the system's research space, although I had stockpiled a large amount of supplies in the static space. I still wanted to study the system's black soil. I took out seeds for cucumbers, water spinach, peppers, and loofah, planting them in the black soil. Suddenly, the system chimed with a notification: host has initiated a planting task, reward, infinite spirit spring. I was just wondering what the spirit spring was. After clicking to claim, I was surprised to find the system had automatically watered the seeds. I took a sip of the water and found it surprisingly sweet and delicious. This meant I no longer had to worry about running out of my stored bottled water. Just as I finished drinking the spiritual spring, I suddenly noticed something was off. How could everything before my eyes suddenly, in the time it took me to turn around, the vegetables I had just planted in the black soil had rapidly grown? Would you like to exchange the harvest for rewards? Yes, the system swiftly absorbed the vegetables I had just grown. Reward granted. Host is awarded one family member binding slot for the space. To ensure system security, the system will enforce that members other than the host cannot disclose any information about the host or the system. This system is quite thoughtful. Now I don't have to worry about family members carelessly spilling the beans. But this single spot is really too few. There are 3 people: Dad, Grandma, and Harry. Since planting things can exchange for rewards, I'll try to redeem a few more spots. With that thought, I quickly started tilling the soil, planting, and irrigating. I clicked to open the reward, but unexpectedly, this time the reward wasn't a family spot. It was a golden silk soft armor. I understand that the planting exchange rewards are random. This means it could be either a family member quota or something else. After careful consideration, I've decided to give the quota to Harry. Firstly, the current situation is relatively peaceful and safe, and since we're both young, our physical strength far surpasses that of Grandma and Dad. Harry and I can take turns planting to maximize the efficiency of exchanging rewards. Secondly, I had previously purchased a large quantity of medicinal herbs, drugs, and medical equipment, and Harry was already knowledgeable in medicine. He could enter the system early to familiarize himself and learn, so that in case anyone encountered danger in the future, having a family member who understood medicine would certainly solve many problems. I stepped out of the system, looked at Harry who was exercising, and called him into the room. Harry, come with me into the space. With a thought, I took Harry into the space. Since Harry wasn't bound to the system, he couldn't see the contents inside it or the house. I used a hairpin to prick Harry's finger and let his blood drip onto the first family member slot rewarded by the system. Binding complete. Winnie, what is this? Harry looked at me in shock. The mountain-like piles of various supplies and the courtyard resembling a paradise on earth truly brought Harry a great shock. You must know that in this apocalyptic downpour, resources are extremely scarce outside. Silly, stop daydreaming. Come with me and take a look inside. This is the space courtyard I've created. Harry gazed at the antique-style house, courtyard, bamboo grove, and small stream. It was like an ancient painting of a utopia. He was lost in thought for a moment, only snapping back to reality when I interrupted him. Upon entering the house, the first thing that catches the eye is the modern minimalist decor, complemented by the plush toys and furniture I purchased. The home appears clean and cozy. Harry clearly didn't expect that behind the quaint-looking courtyard facade lay such convenient modern appliances and furnishings, making it remarkably practical. I explained the functions of the black soil and the spiritual spring to Harry. We divided the tasks and worked efficiently to complete the exchanges, because I knew the storm would soon pass, to be followed by the even more brutal extreme cold and the zombie outbreak. We had to make the most of our time and prepare backup plans. Harry and I worked day after day to earn exchange points, but unfortunately, the rewards were randomized. Although I didn't get the family member slots I wanted, I did exchange for some other useful items, like protective elixirs and contract beasts. The contract beasts did bring some pleasant surprises to our otherwise mundane days. They say it's a contracted divine beast, but to me, it looks more like a fluffy, adorable little puppy, Harry, and I named it Tiny. Harry and I raised Tiny inside the spatial realm. Once we left the spatial realm, Dad and Grandma had already prepared a meal and were waiting for us. Winnie, Harry, you've worked hard, come try the spicy dried tofu I experimented with today, Dad said, looking at us expectantly. Dad, this dried tofu you made is really good, absolutely delicious. If the apocalypse ever ends, you might even start a business with this skill, I teased, making my father both happy and a little embarrassed as he scratched his head. By the way, sweetie, I noticed the heavy rain seems to have stopped recently, and the water levels have dropped. I've seen people outside wading through the water one after another. Yes, Grandma, but we can't let our guard down. The extreme cold and zombies will arrive soon, and we need to be even more prepared. Hearing this, everyone's mood sank, because in our previous life, it was during the extreme cold and zombie outbreak that we all met our end. A series of rapid, dull thuds against the door shattered the heavy atmosphere, instantly setting off alarm bells in everyone's minds. We listened as the banging on the fire exit outside grew louder, our internal alarms blaring. This shouldn't be happening. Logically, now that the heavy rain has stopped, transportation is gradually resuming, and supermarkets have started reopening. At this point, no one should be lacking supplies anymore, so who could possibly be pounding on the door? Harry and I came to the surveillance monitor. We saw 4 people, and upon closer inspection, they were Kathy and Judy, with the other 2 being Harry's parents. Harry's face turned ashen. With the combined efforts of the 4 of them, the fire door was actually forced open. Then came the sound of them gathering outside the door, banging on it. What I heard was Kathy's furious voice, Winnie, open the door for me and give me the old lady's jade pendant and ring. Harry, you ungrateful wretch, how dare you run away from home? Why didn't you give your brother the money he wanted? Did you spend it on that wretched woman? Harry's parents screamed hysterically outside. I looked utterly confused. It turns out Harry didn't give all his money to his family. He lived frugally himself, and aside from the money his parents took, he secretly saved some, planning to use it to marry me in the future. He didn't expect me to suddenly propose marriage, so he used that money to buy a diamond ring and propose to me. He just didn't expect his mobile payment information to be accidentally discovered by Harry's mother. I looked at the diamond ring in my hand and finally understood. I wondered where Harry got a diamond ring, but it turns out it was like this. Harry is actually quite pitiful. He was left at home from a young age, with parents who never cared for him. He didn't eat well either, so he grew up thin and weak, always being bullied by other kids. After struggling to grow up a bit, he went away to study, but his parents didn't even give him living expenses. He managed to finish his studies by scrimping and saving and working part-time, never expecting his parents to give him a younger brother and show such extreme favoritism. Every time, they would take Harry's salary, threatening to cause a scene at his workplace if he refused. Worse still, Harry's father would resort to physical violence at the slightest disobedience. All those aunts and uncles were just helping Harry's father exploit him. Having never experienced much warmth growing up, I can understand why Harry values me so much. In my previous life, I couldn't stand Harry's father and mother's actions, so I confronted them, pulled Harry away, treated his wounds, and felt heartbroken seeing his gaunt face. Naturally, Harry's father and mother were extremely displeased with me. But there's one thing I still don't understand. How did Kathy manage to find us? I shouted through the door at Kathy, "This is my house. What can you do if I don't open the door? Do you dare to break in illegally? Uncle and aunt, Harry and I are already married. What kind of logic is it that Harry's money isn't spent on me but instead has to support his younger brother? Over the years, Harry has given you enough. What kind of parents are you? From now on, not a single penny will go to your brother-in-law. If you still dream of getting money, forget it." I couldn't help but laugh when I heard Kathy and Harry's father and mother outside the door, so angry that their veins were bulging. Now that the storm has passed and order has been restored, I reckon they wouldn't dare to come in, unless they want to risk going to jail. Fine, Winnie, just you wait. I saw Kathy's face full of hatred on the surveillance monitor. I'm certain she's also a reincarnated person, which is why she made preparations in advance. But how on earth did she find us? Suddenly, I remembered and realized with a sinking feeling, when we moved here, Kathy had made a phone call to Grandma. Thinking of this, I quickly grabbed Grandma's phone, removed the back cover, and sure enough, there was a tracking device inside. The extreme cold and zombies will arrive soon. This place has been discovered by Kathy and is no longer safe, but the system currently hasn't opened any reward slots for family members. Right now, only Harry and I can enter the system space. We need to hurry and figure out how to exchange for new family member slots. Kathy and the others probably don't dare to come right now. They probably wouldn't dare to forcibly take what we have unless extreme cold and a zombie outbreak lead to a complete breakdown of order. But there's only 1 week left. Everyone thought everything would be fine once the heavy rain subsided. I couldn't openly talk too much about the zombie situation, so I anonymously posted on major forums, advising people to stock up on supplies and reinforce their homes. Some, having experienced the apocalyptic storms and the treachery of human hearts, are now gripped by lingering fear and have started hoarding supplies. Others remain indifferent. There's only so much I can do. In the space, the little one began to grow day by day. Contract Beast can form a pact with a host. Will you form a contract? Yes, soon. A mark resembling the little one appeared on my arm. Spirit Beast contract established. Reward, 1 additional space member slot granted. I was overjoyed. I had been waiting to exchange rewards for a space membership slot by cultivating black soil, never expecting the system would grant one as a reward after contracting a spirit beast. Without further hesitation, I brought Grandma into the space to complete the member binding. Grandma, this might hurt a little. Please bear with it. Go ahead, my dear grandson, just do it. Soon, a house, a small courtyard, black soil, a stream, and a spiritual spring appeared before Grandma's eyes. This made Grandma so happy she couldn't close her mouth. You see, Grandma used to live in the village before we brought her to the city. To be honest, Grandma prefers the rural environment with its clear waters and green mountains, and she also loves the farmland. She's getting older, and we couldn't rest easy leaving her alone at home. Grandma couldn't resist our insistence and eventually came to the city with us. By the way, Grandma, let me introduce you. This is Tiny. Grandma was utterly speechless. Sweetie, you call this Tiny? Grandma looked at the colossal spirit beast, completely baffled. I scratched my head awkwardly. It used to be quite small, but I don't know why it's grown so big. I laughed sheepishly. I never expected Little Dot to take such a liking to Grandma. Instantly reverting to its mini form and curling up at her feet, begging for head pats, Grandma was completely charmed by Little Dot too and took it along to explore the vegetables in the black soil. I just knew Grandma would love this patch of black soil. This way Grandma gets both exercise and kills time. But I'm still very anxious. It's still not enough. The apocalypse is about to break out, yet Dad still doesn't have a space slot. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but sigh. Protecting the whole family in this second life isn't that easy, but I definitely won't give up. Suddenly, a trending news notification popped up on my phone. 1. Dear citizens, the temperature has dropped sharply today. Please remember to add more clothes to keep warm and protect yourself from the cold. 2. An attack incident occurred in XX district of City A. I clicked on the video in the second message. What came into view was a middle-aged man staggering down the road, looking at passers-by with an eerie expression, before suddenly attacking a mother and child by the roadside. The mother seemed to have been bitten while protecting her son. The woman seemed to still be shouting, "Are you crazy?" But when the woman got a clear look at the man's face, her expression instantly shifted from anger to terror. In that moment, she was so frightened she couldn't speak, because she saw that the man, who had only been pale-faced moments ago, suddenly began to contort, his features twisting, his skin rotting, his joints bending unnaturally, his pupils turning white, yet he lunged straight at her. Ah, help, a ghost! The woman, utterly terrified, tried to run, but it was already too late. The crowd of onlookers suddenly scattered and fled. My heart sank. Harry hugged me from behind, and I could feel the strength in his embrace. He was holding me tightly. Don't be afraid, I'm here. No one can hurt you as long as I'm around. By the way, Winnie, look. Harry took out a golden, glowing bead and handed it to me. This was found in the black soil, next to the spirit spring. There was a very strange little plant. I never watered it, but it was incredibly resilient, so I left it alone. Just now, I suddenly saw its leaves curl into a ball, emitting a glow inside. When I touched it, the leaves unfurled and spat out this pearl. There was no system prompt at the time, so I had no idea what this thing was. I had no choice but to keep it for now. However, this zombie outbreak is clearly much faster than in the previous life. Due to the extreme cold, many people braved the low temperatures to go out and stock up on supplies, and crowded places became prone to incidents. Among the crowd were people who had been bitten by the infected while shopping. They suddenly mutated, biting many others, and those bitten also turned into zombies, causing the numbers to grow rapidly. Kathy arrived at our building with her gangster boyfriend, Harry's father, Harry's mother, and Judy's group. I never expected her to act so swiftly, nor did I anticipate the zombie outbreak would spread this rapidly. Winnie must have plenty of supplies. We just need to break down her door and take her resources along with that jade ring. Kathy urged the other members of their small team. Currently, the system isn't rewarding additional member slots, and our numbers clearly aren't enough to match them. I thought it over. No matter what, this time I must protect my family. If it truly comes to that, I'll exchange myself to get Dad into the system. It's time to settle the score between me and Kathy. Harry saw the fierce determination in my eyes and guessed what I intended to do. Winnie, you and Dad go into the space. Be good and listen to me. You're my woman, and I absolutely cannot hide behind you. If you don't agree, then I won't go in either. I'll live and die with you, Harry said with unwavering resolve. As if brooking no argument, I was deeply moved, but I couldn't let Harry suffer the same tragedy as in the previous life again. The door was being pounded relentlessly, the loud noise quickly drawing a gathering of zombies. Kathy and her group were clearly well prepared. Kathy's boyfriend directed his thugs to take up long knives and stand on the higher steps, hacking at the zombies' heads. Thanks to their advantageous position and the relatively small number of zombies gathered, they quickly dealt with the threat. The door began to shake violently, and Harry stood in front of me, gripping a long knife. Dad and Grandma knew the space was limited. When they heard I wanted to swap Dad in, they refused to stay inside. Dad was holding a baseball bat, and Grandma was gripping a kitchen knife, both standing ready for battle. The door began to creak and sway, my palms sweating. Could it be that even in this second chance at life, I still couldn't protect my family? Suddenly, the bead Harry had given me flew out of my pocket and hovered mid-air. System detects one spirit bead, rewarding one temporary access pass to the dimensional space. Note, this pass allows only a single entry. Countdown begins until forced exit. I quickly clicked to bind and dripped my father's blood on it. The binding was successful. Boom, the door burst open. Staring at the empty room, Kathy's boyfriend was clearly furious. A sharp slap landed on Kathy's face. Didn't you say there would be plenty of supplies here? There must be, Kathy said viciously, covering her face, because she knew I had a space, so she was determined to catch me. Kathy's boyfriend sent several of his men to search inside and outside the house for a long time, but they found no one and not a single trace of food. I observed everything outside coldly from the room in the system space. This squad was too large. Harry and I didn't have full confidence, and with our families involved, I didn't dare act recklessly. I had already stored all the food in my space beforehand, not leaving behind even a single leaf of vegetables. Finding nothing, their group left. After observing them walk far away and seeing the countdown for the spot bound to Dad was about to end, I brought my family out from the system. Dad, this place isn't safe anymore. We need to relocate as soon as possible. Let's move to the villa. Okay, but, with so many zombies outside, how do we get there? I looked at Harry, then at Grandma and Dad. Dad, use my spot to stay in the space instead. Harry and I will fight our way through. Don't worry about us. You staying in the space will actually ease our minds. We exchanged for a lot of supplies in the space recently. Here's golden silk armor, one for each of you. Put it on. Harry and I had previously exchanged 2 body protection pills. After taking them, our bodies would appear completely normal for 3 days, but if attacked, they would become 10,000 times harder than steel. Even if zombies attacked us, they couldn't harm us in the slightest. With that, I pushed Dad and Grandma into the space. Harry and I took the body protection pills, retrieved the knives we had stored in the space earlier, and slowly descended the stairs. Surprisingly, it was relatively quiet along the way, perhaps because Kathy's group had previously killed some zombies. We only needed to eliminate 1 or 2 by decapitating them. In the dark corner of the staircase, I seemed to see a shadowy figure lurking and observing something. As I hesitated whether to approach, suddenly the figure appeared right in front of me. Harry and I realized it wasn't human at all. Its skin was completely decayed, with eerie blue eyes. Because of the dim lighting and the way it was sneaking around, we mistakenly thought it was a human, but it was a zombie. Harry reacted swiftly and pushed me aside, shouting, "Watch out!" The zombie missed me and turned to lunge at Harry instead. Harry drew his tang sword and slashed at the zombie. Enraged, the zombie sped up its attack, charging straight at Harry. I quickly pulled out my machete and swung at the zombie's neck, but surprisingly, it didn't chop through. Just as I was doubting whether my own strength was insufficient, Harry grabbed an iron rod nearby and stabbed it into the zombie's blue eyes. Impossible, I had drunk the spirit spring water in the system, and I clearly felt changes in my physique and strength. My current strength is twice that of an average adult man. Looking into the zombie's eyes, I understood, the zombie mutated, which is why it moves stealthily like a human, unlike the stiff movements of other zombies. After the zombie's eyes were injured, when I attacked again, I noticed the zombie's skin and bones had returned to the hardness of a normal zombie. I raised my knife and swiftly decapitated it. The zombie's head rolled to the ground, and a blue bead fell out along with it. "What is this?" Harry gasped breathlessly. Before I could react, the system's voice suddenly rang out in my mind: killed a high-level zombie and obtained a blue-grade crystal core. Reward, teleportation skill. The next second, a golden light enveloped me. With a thought, I instantly appeared at the top of the stairs, leaving Harry staring at me in utter bewilderment. I understand now. As long as I set the destination in my mind with my thoughts, I can teleport there. Kathy and her group must have encountered ordinary zombies, otherwise, they wouldn't have been so easily killed, so they probably haven't discovered the blue-level crystal cores yet. I recall what just happened. Harry, this must be a mutated zombie. Regular zombies can be taken down by just cutting off their heads, but these zombies are as agile as humans and even faster than normal ones. We need to be extra careful. The weak points of these zombies are their eyes and heads. We should first attack their eyes and then decapitate them. Simply going for the head won't be enough to take them down. Just now, by killing this mutated zombie, I gained a teleportation skill. Next time we encounter these mutants, I'll be faster than them thanks to my skill, so they won't be able to harm me. I'll draw their attention, and you seize the opportunity to take them out. Let's aim to earn more skill rewards from the system. Harry tightened his grip on the knife and nodded firmly. Harry and I exited the building, only to see a blue-eyed zombie rummaging around for something. From my angle, I could see a trembling little girl hiding beneath a sheet of metal. The girl looked somewhat familiar. Without time to think further, Harry and I prepared to take down the blue-eyed zombie. The blue-eyed zombie seemed to sense someone's approach, turning its head and grinning at us eerily. If not for the blue eyes, I might have thought this zombie looked almost like a normal person. I used my teleportation skill to appear right in front of it, ready to strike at the zombie's eyes. The little girl seemed to witness this scene, clutching herself tightly as her whimpers turned into loud sobs, and that zombie seemed to realize something. For a moment, it seemed to freeze, stopping its attack on Harry, but only for a second before resuming its assault on him. Without time to think, I quickly teleported over to help Harry. The zombie, unable to prevail, turned and ran toward the little girl, launching an attack. Or was it? It almost seemed like it was trying to protect her. The little girl didn't dodge, just stared blankly at the blue-eyed zombie with tears streaming down her face. I realized this zombie might be the little girl's family member. It's just that this zombie might still retain some consciousness and hasn't completely turned. I quickly used the morphing chains I had previously exchanged from the system to bind this zombie. The zombie saw that I had trapped him and was walking toward the little girl, thinking I was going to harm her, and instantly erupted in fury. But the system's restraints were no joke. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free. Seeing this, the little girl rushed out, hugging the blue-eyed zombie, sobbing uncontrollably while eyeing us with deep wariness. "Please, don't hurt him." "But he's a zombie," Harry asked, puzzled. "He's not entirely a zombie. He just alternates between moments of clarity and losing his mind. He's different from those completely mutated zombies," the little girl said, looking at us with a mix of fear and pleading. "Then can you tell us what's going on?" I asked her sternly. It turned out the little girl was named Cindy, a resident of apartment 501 across the way. No wonder she looked somewhat familiar. Isn't this the 501 girl who shared things with others during the heavy rain? Fortunately, the heavy rain didn't last too long at that time. She found an empty room and discovered a hidden door inside, surviving on the few remaining crackers in the room. Later, her boyfriend Lucas came looking for her. They were afraid the apocalypse would come again, so they stockpiled some supplies and holed up at home, not daring to make a sound or show themselves this time. Little did they expect extreme cold and zombies to follow. Last time, a group of people broke into their home, took their remaining supplies, and even used them as human shields against the zombies. When zombies attacked, Cindy was pushed out by a woman, but Lucas rushed forward and pulled her back, using his own body to block the zombies. after that group found their car, they left both her and Lucas here. Perhaps it was because Lucas had mutated into a higher-level zombie. That's why the zombies in this area, seeing a more powerful zombie here, didn't dare to approach. It was only when the little girl mentioned that the girl who pushed her was named Judy, I shook my head. Judy, you're really wicked. In your past life, you tried to destroy Harry just because you couldn't have him, and not only did you harm me and my family, but you also hurt Harry, teaming up with Kathy. Now in this life, you're using others as shields. Truly a born villain. No wonder you and Kathy get along so well. Sooner or later, we'll settle both old and new scores together. I carefully observed Lucas and Cindy. In this post-apocalyptic world, certain qualities they've displayed make me believe they're not bad people. Moreover, the fact that Lucas could retain a shred of rationality after mutation suggests there might still be a chance to save him through the system. Bringing Lucas along would also help avoid harassment from ordinary zombies along the way. After much deliberation, I decided to take both Lucas and Cindy with me, and so, our group walked along the road. Thanks to Lucas, we encountered very few ordinary zombies. Later, Harry and I came across several blue-eyed zombies. We worked together to eliminate them, and both of us received skill rewards from the system. I gained the skills, restraint and mind reading, while Harry acquired stealth and tenfold attack boost. After we finished that stretch of the road without encountering any more blue-eyed zombies, I retrieved the RV I had previously stored in my space. Harry drove while I had Cindy and Lucas get in, with me taking the front passenger seat. Cindy was terrified when she saw me conjure a car out of thin air, stammering in fear and hesitating to get in. Follow me. Lucas might still have a chance, and without my permission, no one is allowed to let anyone else in. If you dare betray me, I won't hesitate to throw you all out of the car. Hearing my icy tone and glancing at the trapped Lucas, Cindy shakily climbed into the car. Soon after, I heard a gurgling sound. Cindy awkwardly lowered her head, clutching her stomach. I casually pulled out the food Dad had prepared from my space and placed it on the table. Cindy never dreamed that even in the apocalypse, she could still enjoy sweet and sour ribs, spicy chicken giblets, chicken, corn and rib stew. As she looked at the feast before her, her stomach seemed to growl even louder. With my nod of approval, Cindy dug in without hesitation. Sister, thank you for saving us. Even though you look fierce, I know you're a good person, Cindy muttered softly. I found it both adorable and amusing. Suddenly, Cindy widened her eyes and shouted, Sister, that's the bad woman. I looked in the direction Cindy was pointing. Judy, Kathy and the group were scavenging for supplies when an old man grabbed Kathy's leg, only to be kicked away by her. Harry, stop the car. Previously, I didn't settle scores with them because I lacked skills and had to consider my family. But today I'll settle all the debts from this lifetime and the last. Cindy, you and Lucas stay in the car and don't come out. Cindy obediently nodded her head. Judy spotted Harry at first glance. Harry seemed to be growing increasingly robust. Judy was daydreaming like a lovesick fool, but soon noticed me behind Harry, her eyes quickly filling with venom. Winnie, you still haven't died. Harry, it's the apocalypse now. What good is there in being with this woman? Why not join our squad? Just kill Winnie with your own hands, and our squad has plenty of supplies. With so many of us, we're sure to survive till the end. Judy's sinister and malicious gaze made Harry nauseous. Harry, you ungrateful wretch. Harry's father suddenly appeared from nowhere and slapped Harry across the face. Kathy and her boyfriend's entire group came out. Kill that woman and take the ring from her hand, Kathy commanded. Knowing the jade ring on my left index finger contained a spatial dimension, her eyes filled with such hatred they seemed capable of strangling me. Soon, several thugs surrounded Harry and me, with one behind me pulling out a short knife ready to stab. I activated the teleportation skill and instantly appeared in front of Harry's father. Grabbing Harry's father's raised hand, I turned it around and slapped him across the face. In the previous life, Harry's father and Harry's mother not only exploited Harry but also, when food became scarce during the apocalypse, gave all of Harry's provisions to his younger brother to ensure his survival. Had Harry not been so emaciated and weak in his past life, he might not have perished in the struggle. Harry's father and Harry's mother clearly intended to protect their younger son while watching their eldest son starve to death. I laughed. How could they have the nerve to keep calling him an ungrateful wretch? If Harry couldn't demand justice, I'd do it for him. Everyone present was shocked, never expecting me to act so quickly, especially Judy and Kathy, whose faces turned particularly grim. Kathy speculated that I might have gained some kind of supernatural ability through space. She changed her attitude again. putting on a well-behaved girl act as she approached me, saying, "Sis, I had no choice, I was forced into it. You won't blame me for being a bit harsh earlier, right?" I looked at Kathy's fake smile, but she had no idea I had mind-reading abilities. What I heard in her mind was, "Winnie, you bitch, you only have that space, don't you? If I chop off your hand, the space will be mine too. That damn old hag actually gave the ring to you. Just you wait." I activated the transparent monitoring in the system space. Dad and Grandma could see everything outside, they couldn't help but worry about us. But hearing Kathy speak like that, they thought she must be a good kid at heart, just momentarily rebellious and speaking harshly, certainly not malicious. I knew that unless Dad and Grandma saw with their own eyes just how thoroughly bad Kathy was, they would still hold on to hope for her deep down. In the blink of an eye, Kathy pulled out an axe from behind her and swung it at my hand in an instant. I neither dodged nor flinched, startling not only Harry but also Dad and Grandma, to be honest. If I hadn't taken the body-protecting pill given by the system, my hand would have definitely been chopped off by Kathy by now. Neither Dad nor Grandma expected Kathy to be so utterly insane, and their faces instantly darkened. "Mom, it seems everything Winnie said was true. We should have firmly believed in Winnie and can no longer hold any hope for Kathy." Grandma also nodded heavily in agreement. Kathy looked at my arm in disbelief. How could this be? Kathy picked up the axe again and swung it at my head, but unfortunately for her, I wouldn't give her another chance. "Restrain." Kathy was restrained by me, unable to move a muscle. "I'm going to kill you." Harry's mother suddenly rushed out from somewhere, holding a sharp pair of scissors and stabbing toward Harry. "It's all your fault. You killed your brother. Your brother is dead. Why are you still alive?" Harry closed his eyes and let Harry's mother stab him, uttering cold words. "Stab me, in this life and the last, my life will repay you." I teleported in front of Harry's father and Harry's mother, immobilized their movements, and kicked them to the ground. Kathy's boyfriend Jack seems to be the leader of the thugs. At his command, all the thugs picked up knives and charged at us. Harry and I used our skills to take down these thugs one by one. Judy seemed to have figured out the situation and realized we weren't easy to deal with. She noticed we got out of the car and was certain my family was inside. As long as they had my family, they knew I wouldn't dare disobey, so she sneaked onto the car with one of her underlings. She and her underling broke open the car door, just about to gloat. Suddenly, a blue-eyed zombie lunged out from the car, pouncing straight at the underling. No matter how hard the underling hacked at the zombie's head, it wouldn't come off. Judy was scared half to death and tried to run, only to find her foot grabbed by a bloody hand. Judy turned around to find an adorable little girl smiling at her. Didn't you die long ago?" It was then that Judy remembered. This was the couple she had pushed out to block the zombies that day. "Why are you with a zombie? Why isn't it biting you?" Judy's terrified, trembling voice echoed through the RV. Cindy replied with a bright smile, "It won't bite me, but it will bite you. Help, help." I glanced at the RV and understood what was happening there. With a cold snort, I thought, truly the wheel of justice turns. What goes around comes around. "Judy, you got off easy, dying so quickly." Jack watched as the two of us took down a group of his men, his displeasure evident. He grabbed his weapon and charged at Harry. He didn't charge towards me, probably wary of my overpowering confinement skill, thinking Harry would be easier to kill since he doesn't have any skills. My confinement skill was on cooldown and couldn't be activated for a while. I noticed something unusual. Kathy's boyfriend Jack seemed incredibly strong, able to match Harry. Could he have gained some kind of skill? But he doesn't have a system. Could it be that he obtained an ability by directly consuming a blue-grade crystal core after killing a blue-eyed zombie? I can feel the body protection pill's effect has expired. So Harry's must have expired too. I urgently warned, "Harry, be careful. The body protection pill has expired." Harry clearly didn't react in time, thinking the body protection pill was still effective, so he failed to dodge and got slashed on the shoulder by Jack. Seeing Harry injured, Jack realized Harry was no longer invulnerable, seized the moment to launch the attack. Jack's strength is not to be underestimated. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that Harry still has one skill left to use, stealth. Just as Jack swung his blade at Harry again, he suddenly realized Harry had vanished into thin air. By the time he reacted, Harry had already finished him off with a single strike from behind. I rushed over and hugged Harry, quickly pulling out medicine from the system to apply to his wound and stop the bleeding. Jack and Harry's attack skills were identical, if we hadn't previously killed several blue-eyed zombies and acquired other skills. We might have lost someone here today. The thought sent a chill down my spine. Suddenly, I heard intense banging noises coming from the neighboring warehouse. Using my spatial perspective ability, I took a look. Oh my god, it was filled with what appeared to be extremely hungry ordinary zombies. In our injured state, engaging these zombies in combat would be unwise, but the warehouse seemed on the verge of failing to contain them. I looked down at Kathy on the ground, picked up a knife, and made a cut on her arm. Blood dripped slowly, agitating the zombies even more. I sneered, "Enjoy yourself, Kathy." As for Harry's father and Harry's mother, after all, they were Harry's parents. I didn't deal with them but handed them over to Harry. Harry didn't harm them, nor did he take them away, leaving them to fend for themselves. Harry simply said, "We're even now," and then took me away in the car. I brought Harry, Cindy, and Lucas to the villa that Dad had previously purchased. Dad and Grandma came out to help take care of the household. I quickly took Harry into the space and examined his wound, feeling extremely anxious. Harry, however, looked at me gently and said, "Winnie, don't worry, don't forget I know medicine, just find the medicine as I tell you." Following Harry's instructions, I swiftly retrieved the medicine he needed from the space and applied it as he directed, after taking care of him in the space for a few days. Perhaps due to the abundant spiritual energy there, Harry recovered very quickly. After leaving the space, we looked at Lucas and felt at a loss. How could we help him recover? Glancing at Lucas, I decided not to overthink it and focused on eating first. I wasn't sure if the water source in the villa had been contaminated by zombies, so it probably wasn't safe to use. Seeing Cindy ask me for water, I casually handed her a bottle of spiritual spring water I had brought from the space. I didn't expect that after Cindy drank some, she also fed some to Lucas. I wondered in my head, do zombies even need to drink water? I suddenly noticed that after drinking the water, Lucas seemed to regain a bit more clarity. After that, for several days in a row, I brought some of the spiritual spring water to Cindy, and each time she would feed a little to Lucas. Slowly, Lucas's eyes seemed to turn into dark pupils. I was startled in my heart. Lucas's constitution was truly unique. Previously, to verify whether the effects of the spiritual spring water were useful for other zombies as well, Harry and I captured a few ordinary zombies for testing and found it ineffective, except for Lucas, who benefited from drinking it. At this thought, I obtained Cindy's consent and drew a tube of Lucas's blood. I had Harry use his stealth skill to deliver a letter and this tube of blood to the National Vaccine Research Center. I didn't dare to go there openly, otherwise, if things couldn't be explained clearly, this whole family might be targeted by those with ulterior motives. Moreover, I didn't want Lucas to be captured by those with ill intentions for human experimentation. With this vial of blood and the letter, I believe the nation's capabilities will surely develop a vaccine. The days that followed passed by uneventfully. Outside, the extreme cold and zombies raged, while we stayed indoors eating hot pot and watching TV, enjoying a harmonious family time. Lucas regained full consciousness not long after. Cindy burst into tears of joy, hugging Lucas tightly, then pulling him over to thank me. Both Cindy and Lucas also felt deeply guilty. In this extreme cold apocalypse, they believed our taking them in must have consumed a lot of our food reserves, so they would eat very little during meals. Always hesitating, I directly moved a portion of the supplies from my space and placed them in the villa's storage room. Only after seeing the warehouse fully stocked did they feel at ease and start eating heartily. Lucas and Cindy always do what they can to help their father with yard work and household chores. Although their father doesn't want them to work, he can't stop them. Suddenly, a broadcast announcement is heard. "Attention, citizens, we are currently focused on eliminating the zombies, and the nation is actively developing a vaccine. The country will not abandon anyone. Survivors, please protect yourselves. We will regularly airdrop supplies to safe locations using drones. You can collect them or head to survivor bases." Then, some supplies and red leaflets are dropped from the plane. The leaflets display routes to various survivor bases and some safe paths. The internet is slowly coming back online. Outside, drones carrying bloody pieces of meat can be seen luring the zombies toward the outskirts. Then, one explosion after another echoes through the air. "Dear citizens, the zombies have been cleared. You may now proceed in an orderly manner to the streets, where professional medical teams will administer vaccines to prevent infection from environmental water sources contaminated by the zombies." Our whole family was overjoyed. Lucas and Cindy also hugged each other happily. To celebrate the end of the apocalypse, we treated ourselves to a big hot pot feast. Because of this life and death bond, Cindy and Lucas also came to regard us as family. After the meal, We lined up one by one to get vaccinated. Since the apocalypse arrived, I've never felt such fresh air again. It's truly wonderful to be alive, and to have the whole family together. After getting the shot, I turned around to see Harry holding little one, down on one knee with a rose in hand. Winnie, marry me. I never gave you a grand wedding before. Now that we've survived, I want to give you the grand wedding you deserve. The crowd around us reacted with admiration and playful teasing. On the wedding day, the sunlight fell on the pure white wedding dress. So perfect. I did it. Everything was just right. That's all the story. What do you think of this story? Share with me in the comments section. What would you do if you were in this situation? Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.